Space was never silent. It hummed with ancient songs, the vibration of stars, the whisper of ion streams, the resonant pulse of living minds. Ethan Cross had never heard those songs before. Tonight, he would. The Aelyrian vessel hung in high orbit like a silver thorn, lodged in the night. Its hulls were grown rather than built, arched ribbing like the bones of a leviathan, living walls veined with slow light. Everything breathed here. The ship, the symbols etched into its skin, the air that tasted faintly of ozone and rain. Ethan walked through it half-dazed, half-awed, trying to pretend his knees weren't weak. He had followed a stranger from the stars into the sky. He expected terror. Instead, he felt something stranger. Welcome. They brought him to a ceremonial chamber that felt like a cathedral and a laboratory had decided to share a heartbeat. A circular platform lay at the center, ringed by sigils that pulsed in cadence with Ethan's footsteps, as if recognizing him. Around the platform rose tiers of viewing galleries, human officials clustered on one side in an anxious knot. On the opposite tiers, towering screens displayed the faces of watching Aelyrian elders. Golden eyes, severe mouths, the weight of centuries cast in the tilt of a chin. Agent Miller stood with two other Earth representatives, all of them looking like they'd wandered into someone else's myth. "Remember," Eliason whispered to Ethan, "this ceremony is observed by both governments. Say as little as possible." "As opposed to what? Singing?" Ethan murmured, unable to stop himself. The humor was paper thin. Under it, a tremor. Kaelara Veyrin waited for him at the platform's edge, a fixed point in a world that kept rearranging itself. In the chamber's light, her skin held a deep cerulean sheen. Her hair fell like spilled night. Her golden eyes were... He tried to think of another word for beautiful. Unignorable. On her forearms, the Dravarian Titan gauntlets glowed faintly, with runes that rose and fell as if they were breathing with her. She spoke to the room, voice steady, ritual rich. "By decree of the Ascendancy, we seek to awaken Latin resonance in a human subject. The serum is authorized." One of the elders' screens leaned forward. His eyes burned like a pair of suns sharpened into knives. "Human subject, do you consent?" Ethan cleared his throat. He could feel dozens of eyes, human and not, measuring the weight of his next breath. "I do." Agent Miller muttered to a colleague, not quietly enough. "This is a mistake." Ethan pretended not to hear. Kaelara did not bother to pretend. Her gaze flicked to Miller, then back to Ethan, as if to say, ignore the noise, stay with me. "Lie down, Ethan Cross," she said, softer now. And breathe. The platform was not cold. It felt like polished stone, warmed by dawn. Symbols along its rim woke up, trickling light inward in delicate rivers that pooled beneath Ethan's spine and skull. He stared up. The ceiling above was a lattice of living crystal, and beyond it, he thought he saw the curve of Earth, blue and fragile, like a thought he hadn't had yet. Kaelara moved with a precision that belonged to long practice and longer wars. She inspected the vial cradled in a skeletal holder. The liquid inside shifted color as if indecisive, silver blue, then gold, then a hue Ethan's eyes tried to translate and failed. When she turned towards him with it, the elders on the screen leaned in as one organism. "This will burn," she warned. "It does not ask who you were, only what you can be." Ethan tried a smile. "I was a tech support guy. If it asks me to reset my router, I'm going to be very disappointed." The corner of Kaelara's mouth moved, the smallest possible betrayal of a smile. "Breathe," she repeated, then lower, meant for him alone. "If you lose yourself, listen for my voice." He didn't know why that steadied him so completely. He closed his eyes. He breathed. He listened for her. The needle was as thin as a hair, its tip a drop of starlight. When it slid into his vein, the universe rushed in. Fire, not heat, but history. Hotter than suns and older than oceans. It entered his blood like a prophecy coming true in reverse, gutting him, rebuilding him, lighting his nerves like fuse wire. He arched off the platform, a sound torn from him that he didn't recognize as his own. Visions detonated behind his eyes. Cities that were trees grown into spiral towers, their leaves tuned to sing. Warriors whose eyes were lanterns, whose blades were song given shape. Houses with names that rang like bells. Solera, Thalis, Dravarin, Valith, and one that did not ring so much as vanish and appear again, like a star peeking between clouds. Netheris. He felt the Solera look through shadow and see a heartbeat hiding. He felt Thalis reach across silence and touch another's mind. He felt Dravarin stand when mountains fell, bones refusing every command to break. He felt Valith gather warmth in the hands and release it as light enough to heal or harm. And then he felt something else. Something that did not borrow from the others, but braided them, harmonized them. Ask not, which power will you hold, but instead, which song will you become? A voice spoke in that nowhere place. It was not a voice he heard so much as a chord he understood. Netheris. Ethan's eyes flew open. The chamber was gone for a second, or maybe he was gone. Light roared out of him in a corona, gold brightening to white, the kind of brightness that makes people say holy without meaning to. The elders on the screens recoiled, their masks of calm cracking in lines of surprise. On the human side of the gallery, Someone swore. Agent Miller's face drained of blood. Ethan couldn't hold the flood. It rushed out of him, his muscles knotting with it, and instinct sought an anchor. His hand shot out, blind and desperate, and found Kaelara's arm. Her eyes exploded with light. It was not just brightness, it was heritage catching fire. Kaelara gasped, once sharply, as if the air had turned to honey and her lungs were learning it anew. The runes on her gauntlets blazed, each sigil and line rising like a chorus from a familiar hymn. Something inside her that had been dormant didn't so much as wake as stand and remember its name. Her knees nearly buckled. She didn't fall. Dravarin did not fall, but she swayed. One hand braced on the platform, the other gripping Ethan's hand back with a force that would have shattered stone. For one long breath, their eyes burned in unison. Gold upon gold, two flames leaning toward each other and finding they made a third. Kaelara whispered, throat tight with something that was not fear and not quite joy. "What have you done to me?" Ethan laughed, or tried to. It came out as a cough that tasted like metal and sunrise. "I'm full of party tricks today," he swallowed. "Sorry for grabbing you. Do not apologize." She said it fiercely, then softer, unable to look away from him. No, from the light in him reflecting the light in her. "No man has ever touched me so. None has ever woken what you just did." On the screens, elders erupted in argument, the chamber filled with Aelyrian syllables like knives and bells. Words cut the air. "Impossible! Unrecorded! Purity! Nitharis!" Some faces were rapture, others were wrath. An elder whose eyes were nearly white with brightness struck the air with his palm. The room quieted as if commanded by gravity. "Human," the elder said to Ethan. The word did not sound like an insult. It sounded like a classification that had failed. "What shines in you surpasses anything we have measured in millennia. And you." His gaze moved to Kaelara. "Carry Dravarin's fire more fiercely than our records believed. Your resonance ignited beside his. Explain." Kaelara's spine was straight, her chin unbowed. "He reached for me when the serum burned him. My blood answered his call. That is all." "That is not all," another elder hissed. "Dravarin does not kindle for chance." On the human balcony, Agent Miller found his voice. "So, what? We're just gonna pretend this isn't a containment breach? He's unstable, she's compromised, and none of this is happening on our terms." Ethan sat up slowly, the platform helping him with a mother's patience. His body felt new, and wrong, and right, all at once, as if he'd been walking on a broken ankle his whole life and only now realized it could bear weight. Hey, Agent Miller, he said, voice raw but steady. You wanted proof I wasn't special. I did too. Looks like we're both out of luck. Miller's jaw worked. You make jokes now, Cross, but understand me. If you go out of control, we will stop you. Kaelara's head turned toward the human balcony. Something feral touched her voice. He is not yours to threaten, nor yours to shield, the white-eyed elder said, not unkindly. He is not a soldier yet. He is a storm. Ethan looked at his own hands. They trembled. Light whispered under the skin like a secret trying to speak again. What happens now? The elder considered him. Then the assembled officials. Now the galaxy observes what you become. Under oath of the Ascendancy, you will train. You will be tested. If you endure, you will be named. Named? Named what? Ethan asked. Resonant, breathed the elder. And more. His eyes slivered in private calculation. Perhaps something we forgot how to deserve. They gave him a chamber that hummed with low healing, a room whose walls held the smell of rain just before it falls. Kaelara stayed. No one ordered her to. No one dared to. Ethan lay on a reclining couch that adjusted to his breath. The first wave of pain had passed. What remained felt like soreness in a language his body was only just learning to speak. He turned his head. Kaelara sat close, her gauntlets quiet now, the glow in her eyes dim but not gone. She watched him with the stretched caution of someone who had survived too many wars to assume that the end of danger meant the end of consequences. How old are you? Ethan asked, because it was easier than asking the other things, the ones that shook something soft in his chest. Her mouth quirked. 2 centuries young. He choked. That's young? For an Aelyrian, yes. She tilted her head, studying him as if his question contained a puzzle he didn't know he'd asked. Your kind measures life in handfuls. Ours measures in histories. So, if this sticks, you will not wither as those around you do, she said simply. You will endure. A shadow crossed her expression, a cloud moving over a sun. And you will learn what endurance costs. He looked at the ceiling. I don't even know what I am yet. And you've already given me a midlife crisis scheduled for the year 3000. You asked what would happen if you lost yourself, she reminded him. I told you to listen for my voice. Ethan swallowed. I heard you. Their eyes met, not the blinding flare of the platform now, but something quieter. A warmth that chose to stay when spectacle ended. I have not seen a light like yours, she admitted. Not even in our chronicles. And you? He asked. What happened to you back there? She exhaled. If pride was armor, she set aside a piece of it. I believed my Dravaran bloodline faint, dormant. Your touch woke it. A beat. No man has ever done that. He tried humor again, gentler this time. Good to know I make an impression. She held his gaze. You do. The word hovered between them, heavy with meanings neither of them could afford yet to say aloud. Kaelara stood, the moment sliding like silk into duty. Rest now. Tomorrow you begin your trials. Trials sounds ominous, Ethan said. Can we rename them to friendly workshops? Only if you want to die in the first minute, she said dryly. You will find your weapon. She nodded to her gauntlets. Dravaran crafts strength into strike. Solira forges light into blades. Thalis weaves minds with the staff. Valeth gathers pulse into lances. You will learn each. One will answer you. And if none of them do? She hesitated. A flicker so brief he might have missed it if he hadn't been watching her with the new habit of a man who had found something worth learning by heart. Then the weapon that answers you must be made. Like a custom order? Like a prophecy, said a new voice from the doorway. An elder stepped inside, not the wide-eyed one from the screens, but a woman whose glow was not the brightest, yet drew the eye as if brightness were merely one way to be seen. House Netheris, she said, tasting the name. We do not speak it loudly. We do not speak it often. But when we do, the air changes. She studied Ethan with the cool curiosity of someone looking at a rare comet and trying to decide whether to worship or to worry. The harmonic conduit was theirs, a weapon that becomes what its bearer is. If your blood sings true, it will not choose you. It will answer you. Ethan sat up straighter, despite everything in him wanting to lie down for a week. And if my blood sings off-key? The elder's smile was both dangerous and kind. Then we will teach you to sing. News moved faster than light when fear carried it. Within hours, Earth's networks crawled with rumors. Aliens confirmed. A human subject exposed to unknown technology. An incident in orbit. Words like sovereignty, control, and containment escaped the mouths of commentators who had never seen a sky without pollution. In shadowed rooms, men and women with budgets that didn't exist muttered about insurance plans whose line items were people. On the ship, Ethan slept because there was nothing else left to do. Kaelara did not. She stood before a viewport and watched Earth turn. Her reflection looked back at her. Golden eyes, warrior scars, a woman 2 centuries young who should have been immune to surprise. She was not immune. Not anymore. Dravaran, she murmured to the glass, as if the word itself were a vow. Behind her, footsteps approached, soft, respectful. The elder again. You stood with him, the elder said, not a question. I did, Kaelara replied. You will be loved for it, the elder said, and hated. Take care which feels truer. Kaelara's jaw tightened. He is my responsibility. He is your mirror, the elder corrected gently. Be wary of what you are willing to see. Morning, if morning meant anything in orbit, arrived as a softening of the ship's bioluminescent veins. Ethan woke with a start, expecting pain and finding instead an ache that felt almost like hunger. Not for food, for use. Kaelara entered, gauntlets clasped to her forearms, expression composed. On your feet, Ethan Cross. He stood. The room did not pitch. The world did not tilt. For the first time since the balcony, he felt aligned with a gravity he could trust. Where to? The Hall of Arms, she said. And then the Colosseum of Trials. He blew out a breath. No pressure. Kaelara's eyes warmed by a degree. Only the weight you choose to lift. They walked together down a corridor that glowed with veins of living light, toward a door that would teach him either what he was or how he would die. The ship hummed around them in a key Ethan was beginning to understand. He glanced at her. If I lose myself, he said again, because he would not let the fear go unspoken. She didn't look away. Then I will call you back. The door opened. Light spilled out in 1,000 possible shapes.